back to Tails engine, I want to continue building out the entity, because I made an entity class and all that, but I want to use a vertex array. I think it's a vertex array anyway, to actually draw the entity, and then I'm going to actually try and use the engine in an executable thing. I'm going to actually, test it. And I'm hoping it works, but it probably won't, because I haven't tested it at all yet, so chances are there's a lot of bad things about it. I also didn't make sure it compiled last time. It doesn't compile. It doesn't. Something about undefined type in the header here. What? Something weird. Reference to the vector. Okay. I don't see how that is being an undefined type. Is it because I need to include entity here? But why do I need to include entity here? How is it an undefined level cannot access private member declared in level? While compiling class template member function operator brackets default delete. Oh, okay. I think it's just because I need to have a destructor in the CPP file. I can just make it default and should be fine. No. Well, it fixed that error because now the destructor is referencing in here, which includes the entity. But for some reason, declaration of level. See declaration of level. And then. So, why can't the world source file use a private constructor, even if world is a friend? Cannot access private member declared in Tails C level. Is it because make unique can't access that? Can I not use make unique if it's a private constructor? I assume so actually, because make unique is just a function. And it's trying to do this, yeah. And it does just use new, doesn't it? It just returns a unique pointer with new. So, yeah, actually, it just forwards the argument. So I could just say unique pointer of level, and then say does it not? Whatever, I'll just try this. And now this is saying cannot convert whatever that is. I'll just reset it to a new level with the path. And now it's complaining about this. Do the same thing here. Okay, cool. I'm going to make a comment here and say cannot use make unique unless C level string constructor is public. Okay. I mean, is it worth it just to make sure that levels can't be created from anything other than the world? Probably not, but I don't really care. Right, so what I want to do with entity is, I think it is a vertex buffer. Got to look at the SFML documentation here though. well, maybe not the documentation, but the tutorial, because I've never done this before. So we have vertex arrays. Let's put these over here, and then get rid of that. So, what is a vertex, and why are they always in arrays? Smallest graphical entity, just because it's a position and a color and a pair of coordinates. Okay. Vertices are always grouped into primitives, points, lines, triangles, quads, and you can combine them. Okay, so I'm thinking an entity, you can make an entity, you know, any number of points and stuff and assign it to any texture. It would just be like a glorified vertex array buffer, I think. So if I go in here and I say SF line strip, is that really a thing? I can't even type. SFML, graphics, vertex array. Okay. Okay, well, sure. So they're making a triangle strip, define it as a rectangle, define its texture area. Vertex arrays are low-level entities. They only deal with geometry and do not store additional attributes like a texture. Okay, that's fair enough. So, yeah, let's make a vertex array. Call it vertices. This will be private. And then we also can store a texture. And this will be related to the asset manager. So instead of being an actual texture, it will be some kind of abstraction of that. So until then, I'm going to leave it out. And then in our draw, we can say target.draw. And then obviously we want to draw vertices, but we also want to have the states.transform. Multiply our own get transform. And then we can use the states here. So I think that will basically draw the vertices at the entities transform, essentially giving the vertices a position in the world. Yeah, so we have the get transform. This is basically what I'm doing. Do that, and then apply the texture, which we'll do after you have an asset manager thing. Draw it, and then that's all good, really. Then we have an example tile map, which I don't really care about at the moment. So I'm thinking, I make like wrapper functions or something here. Will they be protected or? No, I think we can have them be public. We can say, like, for example, set vertices or something. I don't know exactly what this needs. What does this have? Append, add a vertex to the array, set primitive type, get vertex count, get bounds, resize, clear. Okay, what is the primitive type? Okay. So we have a triangle strip, which, hang on. I assume a triangle strip you can basically just use as a quad, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. so it goes diagonal instead of in a kind of rectangle. Yeah, okay. So how do I actually want to do this? Will every entity just be a quad, essentially? Or a 4-point triangle strip? Let's just leave it like that for now, and we can always add stuff later. This will have, yeah, let's give it a primitive type of triangle strip with 4 vertices. Cool. And then we also need a method for getting the bounds of it as well, which we can have to do public. I think it's a float rect it wants. Compute the bounding rectangle of the vertex array. Good. Now, is this going to be global bounds? Probably not. I probably need to multiply it by the transform, right? Or something. I don't know. I don't know. Where's this method even coming from? Vertex array. What about the sprite? What about a sprite? Yeah, get global bounds is get transform dot transform rect get local bounds. So we might be able to do that. Transform a rectangle. This. To do test. Let's just do that. Cool. So now we have vertices and stuff. They're being drawn. And that's all good. So I think the only thing left to do now is asset manager or asset cache. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this. I'm thinking having a base class for resources and stuff. There's a base class called, like, you know, asset data or something, or an interface for it. And then you have a pure virtual load method, and maybe that's it. And then you subclass that and also subclass something like SF texture. And then you just wrap the load from file of SF texture in it and something like that. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Let us begin this perilous journey. Let's call it asset data. Sure. Asset data. My notes still have this. Oh yeah, I added stuff for input as well. So yeah, so the assets will have that. That'll be fine. That's just for loading the assets on like startup, not for actual like the asset manager thing. So we have this input thing. Now I thought about having mapping a device or mapping buttons to a device. I think that would work. Anyway, we can specify tails asset data header, because this is going to be the base class for all of the kind of raw asset things like texture, sound buffer, or anything else really. It's because I could just use a void pointer, because weak pointer and shared pointer work with void pointers, but I kind of want it to be a coherent interface. I don't want to just have everything be a void pointer. So yeah, I kind of just want this. It would probably be faster and more efficient and stuff to use a void pointer, but I'm not really going for efficiency. I'm just going for simplicity, which oftentimes is at the cost of efficiency. So we can say asset data, and what will it have? I don't know. What it does need though is to include Tails config and to have the Tails API bit. So that's pretty good. You know what? Yeah, we'll have a. Will it be public? Sure, let's make it public for now anyway. We can have a virtual void. No, it'll be Boolean for load. I don't know if it will have the path in here or if it will save the path as part of it. No. Does texture save the path? Is that something that does? I don't know. We have size. No, okay, it doesn't save the path. So when we load from file, we load from file from an image and then just return if that's true or not, and then load from image. This does the image loader stuff, and then this does this stuff. So yeah, we don't. The path isn't saved anywhere, so I feel like this doesn't need to save the path. The asset manager itself, however, I'm going to call it the asset cache because it's a global thing. It's going to be static and stuff. Why is cache different from manager? I don't know. Sounds cooler. The asset cache is also shorter as well than manager. Cache is shorter than manager, so it just makes sense, I suppose. So the kind of outline for the asset cache is it will have a vector, because it only needs to have stuff in memory. We don't need to, reload or unload but still have a reference to the stuff, right? We don't need a reference to like the handle or something whilst we unload the actual data itself, so that we can then reload that data using the handle or whatever. We don't need that. We just need the data to be there or not there. We don't need to kind of have it lingering around whilst the actual data, right, the actual texture isn't there, but the data that references that texture to say, hey, we want to reload this thing, that doesn't need to exist. We don't need that. What we do need is just simply a way to, map a string to some kind of pointer to the data itself, so that you can say, I want to reference this data, and then it just keeps track of how many things are referencing the data. Yeah, pretty much. So let's put in the CMake lists, asset data.hpp, and then asset cache. I'm thinking I might kind of separate these into different folders, but there shouldn't be many more files to add, so it should be fine. I only really want to use folders if there's like an overwhelming amount of different files that I need to manage, but I don't think there will be. So it should be alright. We can make the asset cache here. include tail slash asset cache. I could also probably make the texture data as well while I'm doing this. Let's do that as well. Need to make a header for it too. Let's say texture data. Does it need to be texture asset or texture data? I say texture asset. It makes more sense. And then we can just make the header as well. And then we can load it into Rider. Texture asset will be public. C texture asset, isn't it? Public asset data. And it needs to, it's going to be private. It needs to override this. And also, actually, this does need the string, doesn't it? So let's put this in CMake lists quickly, and then say asset data does indeed need the string for the path. And it could just be a const reference as well. Include the config, include the thing we're inheriting from, which is asset data, and then include string, which you don't need to, but might as well. Cool. And then we just need to implement this in the CPP file. We'll do that in Rider. And we're good to go. Righty then. We have texture asset, as well as asset cache, asset data. This is probably saying it's not got a virtual destructor here. Just make it default, we don't really need to do anything with it. And that's going to say, since you've defined a destructor, you might as well define everything else. I'm good. Asset, texture asset, it's private anyway. I want to define it. And oh yeah, we also want to include the SFML thing, because that's what we're actually wrapping. Graphics, texture, make it public, SF texture, bang. And now I can say load from file, path, return it. There we go, brilliant. So now all of the things are going to have a common parent, basically, common parent. And then asset cache is going to be the one that's actually going to be doing all this stuff. So we can forward declare the I asset data. We can have a private section for the map, which I'm just going to use a normal map, just because might as well. Also going to include string, otherwise Rider will do it for me, do the wrong thing. And let's use a weak pointer as well. For the I asset data. Let's just call it data. Nice. I can make a public section and have functions like, I don't know, load. Say ID and then path. This should probably be const as well, const reference. So obviously we need to work out what kind of file it is, and I don't want to do any trickery for that. I don't really want to look at the file extension either. I just want to rely on SFML's thing. So naturally, brute force approach. We say load texture and essentially just make a new method for each possible thing. It means it's not extendable whatsoever. Doesn't really need to be though. Well, it kind of does, but that's besides the point. Say data at ID can equal. Actually no, because it's a weak pointer. Ooh. You know what? You know what? Return a shared pointer here. Return a shared pointer instead of a boolean. And then we can say shared pointer here, iAsset data, call it data, make it equal to where we need a unique destructor, so we can't actually do we can't do make shared because that doesn't allow you to set a destructor. Because here you see we have the pointer and then we also have a destructor here we can set. So we want to say new texture asset, and then we want to set a destructor as well for that, which the destructor will just be a lambda deleter, even not destructor. The input to this, I want it to be, let's do a using thing here, say using data map, it's going to be this, and then we can say data map iterator, call it its, and then this will be our deleter. Let me just say deleter, I think. No. I think we can use bind, actually. And say, dude, I prefer these. It's probably worse, but I prefer them. So, yeah. For deleter, I believe this is how it is. We put the function thing in first, and then the arguments. And the argument that we want to go in is the current iterator, I think. Do you want to do the current iterator? We probably want to do the ID, right? Ignore this. Let's do a const std string of let's call it we don't actually need this. Let's call it, no, we do need this. We do need this. Let's call it name. So we want to bind deleter to ID, essentially. And this is saying prefer a lambda to std bind. Okay. So what? You're telling me to do this instead? It doesn't accept a lambda. I don't know what you're on about. Yeah, whatever. And then we can say equals data, and then we return data. Haha. And then that's cool. Do we even need a load method here? We could just have specific things, can't we? Yeah, we can just have specific methods. We don't need a general one. Although we kind of want a general deleter, right? Anyway, just for now, we can say our deleter is we want to get the we want to check the current like count, right? So, because what we want this deleter to be is every time one of the shared pointers is deleted, we want to check if we should erase the weak pointer from the map, so that when the last thing that's referencing this data is done, the map entry is gone. So I think the way we can do that is say if data at name, if it's expired, then we can say data.erase name. And I think that's pretty much all we need. I think. And this should actually be static. This should be a static thing, meaning we need a get method returning reference to this, get static asset cache, let's call it instance, and then return instance. Can this be const? Oh, it can be const, that's brilliant. And then here we say get the data, get, and then the data from that. And then we can say get the data from that, nice. And for some reason it... Oh, okay, you can't make a static thing const. Well, that's fine. Cool, so now we have a load texture thing. And that's all good. So now, for example, in our entity, if we were to include the asset cache here, we could say, you know, asset cache load texture, and we want to load it, call it player, and say, you know, player.png, and this would give us a shared pointer that we can then use for stuff. And we can then say, you know, vertices dot, well, yeah, actually we could do that. We could say we could have a shared pointer to a texture asset. And let's say texture. And now we can say, we can include texture asset. Let's say states dot texture equals texture, which is a shared pointer, trying to convert that, so we can say dot get. Brilliant. So now we can have a texture on it, which is sweet, and we can say, you know, set texture yeah, texture asset. And then we can say mTexture equals texture.
Well, I've wrestled with reality for 35 years, Doctor, and I'm happy to say that
Okay, sure. Const reference this bad boy. If you say so, Ryder. I don't know what this is, if this is good practice or not, but hey. Anyway. Cool. So we have that. So essentially, here, for example, on spawn or whatever, you can query the asset cache, say load texture, set this to be the result of this. Of course, you'd have to cast this. So instead of it returning a asset data, we can say texture asset. Like that. And I suppose we could have a templated thing saying just load, I suppose. I don't know if this will work or if it'll work really, but yeah, we could just do that actually. And then here, another static method, which just returns a shared pointer to asset data. Call it load. String ID, string path. And then this will just return a static cast. No. We'll go static pointer cast to T from the result of load path. Like that. And then also static assert this as well. Is base being asset data T. Say something like failed to load assets. It does not derive iAsset data. And then in load here, we can just say, well, that's kind of the problem. We need to do it in here because we need to, yeah, so we could instead, yeah, we can just say accepts a shared pointer to asset data. Let's make it const reference just because Rider probably wants it to be a const reference at the end of the day. And this will be make shared or something that. And then here we can say data load, the path being the path, and then we can say, I don't know, get the data at the ID so equals data, and then return the data. I really don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to be honest, because I want to have this deleter somewhere in a global, in more of like a general scope thing, something like this load function, but I'm not creating anything here, and I'd need to do it in this template function then, wouldn't I? Do I want to do it in the template function? Sure, I'll do it in the template function. And then we could just say deleter. Include functional, sure. Do that, and then here we can just say do do data. And now, instead of all this or whatever, I'm going to call it load implementation just because why not? Now we can say, instead of this, just say return load, and it would just be a text address set with ID and path. Nice. So that's our load texture thing. This is our actual load thing. So every time we load anything, it will use this deleter. It will create data based off T, and it will do stuff to it. And yeah, it loads it, then it adds it to this, and then it returns it. After it's returned it, the references should be 0 basically, because the weak pointer doesn't have a reference. It's more of just a raw pointer, but with added benefits, I think. So when we create this is now a reference. It passes on to here. It's still only one reference because this is a reference, not a copy. We load it. This is the same as this, basically. It's not a copy of it. Then we set it into here. This then does stuff, and then the return, it kind of returns that. So that should work. I'm going to compile it, see what happens. And ooh, okay, we have a thing. There is nothing. Oh, it's because I didn't change the name to implementation. I always think it's called implicit as well. For some reason I think IMPL is short for implicit, even though it's short for implementation. Okay, cool. It compiles fine now, and debug shouldn't change anything there. Cool. It compiles. That's nice. Now we can very simply test it. How am I supposed to test it? I don't know how to test it. That's the thing. I don't know how to test it. Let me look this up. Test local library. Okay, I found this thing. How to properly create CMake library for both program and test usage and compile it only once. I have code and one big directory of models which are going to be used in 2 binaries. The main program and tests, I want to put the models to the library which will compile once, then both main program tests and tests can use it without recompiling it again. Okay. So we have the root CMake lists, which adds the subdirectories. In the test, they're adding an executable and adding a test. Okay, I'm just going to wing it. Or actually what I could do is make a new folder called, like, you know, Tails Engine Tests or something. Or, I don't know. I don't know. I'll make a folder in here, call it tests. I think I tried this before, but it didn't work. This time it's gonna work. I keep telling myself that. This time it's gonna work. It's gonna work good. It's gonna work well. Okay, CMake minimum required. What version is this other one? 3.14. Okay. 3.14. And the project can be Tails game. Sure. Let's put this on the right here. And okay. I don't want CPM or anything. I instead purely just want to add executable. Call it Tails game. Add the main.cpp. And then target link libraries. to be with Tails game. Sure, I'll make it public. Tails engine, but I need to inform it about Tails engine. So is that like an add external projects or something? Add library. What is that? Oh wait, no, add library is okay. How do I? Could I just, because the cpm.cmake? No, I might be able to just add subdirectory, but make it go up one instead. Right? That's here, and then it goes up one, and then, but they're not going to be of the same project, are they? So it's not going to work. Huh. What are the... What are the CMake commands for linking libraries? Add external project. Hang on. There's another Stack Overflow question here. We have how to build external projects and include their targets. I have project A that exports a static library as a target. Now I want to use project A as an external project from project B and include its targets. External project add URL. That's a URL though. The include file does not exist yet when CMake lists of project B is run. Okay, you wrote a tutorial on it. CMake by example. Okay, so we have executables, sure, project, add executable, install, targets, my app, destination, bin. Oh, interesting. So we're installing that to the bin directory, I assume. Interesting. So we need to build our app with available generators, add executable, install does CMake to install our binary into the bin directory of the install directory. Nice. Building, sure. Cool stuff. CMake with libraries. Okay. To build a library, we use a similar script. Add library. Install targets test to lib. Install files test.h destination include. CMake will build the library as libtest.a and install it into the lib folder of the install directory. We also include our public header into the install step to tell CMake to put it into include. Instead of a static library, we can build a shared library as well. Linking libraries to executables with CMake. We can... So here we're adding an executable. And we're adding a subdirectory, libtest project. We can extend our executable from above by linking it to our library libtest.a. Let's start by adding the library's directory as a subdirectory of our my app project. Interesting. Now we can use the library defined in the CMake lists of libtest projects in my app. Test. Okay, so we can straight up just use the library then. So I can't just do that and then say Tails engine. It seems. Yeah, because that's that. That's the library that they created. That seems fine, right? And then add subdirectory, including external libraries using our other build systems. Okay, I don't care about this. So that seems to be it. You can just add subdirectory. So will this work? If I go into tests and make a build folder in here, will this work? No. Not given a binary directory, but the given source directory is not a subdirectory. Oh, okay, it's because it's not a subdirectory, which who would have thunk, huh? So, obviously, let's just say Tails engine. Let's just copy it. Let's just copy these. Put them in directory called Tails Engine in here, and just, you know, see what that's like then. Get rid of these. Okay, so it's adding SFML. It's doing its thing. It seems to be working fine then. Okay, it failed because it can't find main.cpp because I've made us a main.cpp. Goodness me. It's crazy. Main.cpp. Yes. Int main. What am I doing? Return 0. Rerun CMake. Work this time. There we go. Nice. Now in build, we can go into here. Sure, just an open new window. And we have Tails Engine, Tails Game, SFML, cool things. So what should happen, hopefully, is we can include Tails Engine and we can include SFML. Tails, we can include that, and then SFML. Cool. So if I include Tails and I say engine, and I create Tails engine, say engine.run, and then I return 0. Haven't tested this at all, but what should happen is the engine, we call run, we have these, we have the render target set as a render window, so it should create a window. Yeah, it should create a window and all that. And then it should run when the Windows poll event is closed. It should kill the engine, setting this to false because kill does that, and then it should quit. So hopefully, with a bit of luck, it should work after obviously building everything. And I just realized I need to download OpenAL because SFML uses OpenAL's dynamic library. So I already have OpenAL, but we have a thing, undefined type SF render target. Well, yeah, undefined type. What do you mean? It's undefined because it's forward declared. What do you mean it's undefined? Can't delete an incomplete type. Oh, it's probably because the destructor is not referencing in the source file. Like that, and I think that's all you really need. Let's change this just to make sure it does that and stuff. Recompose that, does that, and oh, okay, we're having linking errors again. Brilliant. Mismatch detected for runtime library. Interesting. Mismatch detected for runtime library. Okay, we have a thing here. I downloaded and extracted Crypto++. Whoa. To remedy that, I think it's this error. Let's get so built successfully that I made a test project and its dependency. After that, I added the include part so I can easily compile. I got unresolved symbols, and then you linked it, and then that, and then this is already answered the comments, but it lacks an actual answer. The problem arises in newer versions of Visual C++. The older versions usually just silently link the program and it would crash and burn at runtime. It means that some of the libraries you are using, or you are linking with your program, are using different versions of the C runtime library. To correct this error, you need to go into your project properties, C and C++, code generation, and check the value of runtime library. This should be exactly the same for all the files and libraries you are linking together. The rules are a little more relaxed for linking with DLLs, but I'm not going to go into why. Okay, so Taking two pieces of code that are linking them together are themselves linking against and using the standard library. The standard library is the same with them. That's great. Care is taking about how our two code pieces interact and pass around data. Generally, I would say that for almost all situations, just use the exact same version of the standard library. Okay. Having the same idea about the size of objects on either side of the function call. Sure. So basically, project properties, C and C++ code generation. C and C++ code generation. Here. And we want runtime library. Runtime library, which is from runtime checks, runtime library, multi-threaded DLL, multi-threaded debug DLL, and then here it's going to be multi-threaded DLL and not debug. Yeah. But I assume in SFML it's not multi-threaded DLL, it's just multi-threaded. So that's the problem. It seems. How do we set that in CMake? I don't know. Let's have a little look-see-boo, shall we? Set runtime library. MSVC runtime library. Right, we have this MSVC runtime library thing. Select the MSVC runtime library for compilers. Multi-threaded, multi-threaded DLL, debug, debug DLL. Okay, good. Let me go to the SFML GitHub and find their CMake lists, and then try and find the runtime. Define an option for choosing between static and dynamic C runtime. That's not exactly what I want. Runtime output directory. No, that's not what I want. Source. CMake lists here. Runtime. Runtime UCRT library path. Taking precedence for provided library. Okay, sure. I don't know why this hasn't been why this wasn't a problem before, and it's only a problem now. Okay. Well, we can use this to specify. Okay, use generator expressions to support per configuration specification. For example, the code, add executable set property, target foo property MSVC runtime library, multi-threaded, config debug, debug. I don't really know how these things work. Selects the target foo for multi-threaded statically linked runtime library with or without debug information depending on the configuration. So what this is saying, multi-threaded. If the config is debug, then set it debug? I don't know. This property initializes is initialized from the value of CMake MSVC runtime library variable. If it is set, the property is not set. This is the default one, which is config debug debug DLL. Okay. Well, I'm just going to copy this then and see if it works. Set property. Target being Tails engine. Property being MSVC runtime library. We want to say multi-threaded. Then we have dollar angle bracket, dollar angle bracket. Let's do two closes. Say colon debug here, and then in here we say config colon debug. And then apparently that's fine. What is this even saying? Config debug. I actually don't know. I genuinely don't know. Multi-threaded. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's close all instances of Rider, sure. And go back to the build of this. Go up and CMake it. Cool. And now in the Tails Engine solution, we shall find the brilliance of my magnificence. We shall find in the properties of this, the debug here, the runtime thing, which is here. Multi-threaded debug DLL, okay. Multi-threaded DLL, that didn't change anything. CMake, what are you doing? I don't know. Can I search for like config? Configuration. Build configurations. Right. Configurations design specifications for a certain type of build, such as release or debug. Yeah. Okay. Multi-configuration like Visual Studio. The configuration is chosen by the user at build time. CMake build type is ignored in the multi-configuration case. The set of available configurations is specified at configure time. A key to lower build type. This is wrong for multi-config generators because they don't use and typically don't even set CMake build type. Okay. So, sure. Generator expressions should be used instead to handle configuration-specific logic correctly regardless of the generator. For example, target compile definitions. Oh, target compile definitions. Oh wait, no, this is saying debug build and stuff. Oh wait, so if this is saying, you know, if it's debug, config is it? I don't. Okay. They have the form this. So for example, that. Okay, so I assume they just expand out, right? This would be include GNU or Clang, depending on C++ compiler used. Okay. Generating expression allowed in the context of many things. Okay. Properties such as these. Generator expressions can be nested. The above would expand to old compiler if the CMake compiler version is less than 4.2.0. So version less. Okay, so if the config is debug, right? So if the version is less than this 4.2.0, then old compiler. So if this is true, do the other side. Is what I'm getting at here. If the config is debug, set this to debug. That's what I'm getting at. So we finally proper support of this. It works somehow without the CMake policy. As user policies, if you assume it is new enough, you don't need to request the new behavior explicitly. I've actually included the policy in the answer. So they're using 3.15. Because this was 2019. Oh, okay. Interesting. Except for the fact that this answer was given 6 years after the original question was asked, not to say the person hasn't logged in since then. Since 2015. This doesn't work. Make sure you cleared your build folder before CMake sync. Okay, so if I upgrade to a newer version of CMake, such as, wait, can I just upgrade to CMake here? Yeah, I'm on 3.29. Okay, I'll just go 3.29.3 then. Sure, I'll just do that. Okay, let me clear the build folder here. I don't think there's anything I need in here, so let's clear it and redo the CMake. And hopefully it works. Because I'm not seeing anything to do with it in these CMake list files here. Unless it's a preset. Okay, cool. Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Go into properties, into this. We can see that it is multi-threaded debug. And this is multi-threaded. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's not DLL anymore. If we compile it, it should still compile, hopefully. I assume. Okay, cool. And then we don't need to do release. We don't need to do release. Okay, now we can just copy all of this back into here. I don't think we even needed to do that. Apart from CMake lists, we didn't need to do that. Get rid of the build here and do it all over again, basically. Nice. So it might be now that the game itself has the wrong thing. Right, it might be that this is the wrong thing. Which it does, so that straight up might be the problem anyway. It might just not work because of that. But I don't know. Anyway, we have this, and it still works. And things, so if we just run this, hopefully it compiles. It won't run because I haven't put OpenAL in the next to the executable, but if it compiles, then that's good, and then we can run it and see any other things and stuff. Ooh, okay, that's much better. Undefined type render target again. Oh, it's because I didn't put it in the. Okay, it's because I didn't put it in the thing. I didn't update the engine itself. I updated this copy of the engine with the, with this. Let's do that. Implement it in here. Make it default. Do it in the engine itself as well. Quickly. Nice. Okay. Now if we play it. Okay. There's a lot less errors there now. A lot less errors. No default lib library. Okay. If I change this to... This is the engine. If I change this to multi-threaded debug and then I play it, will it work? No. Obviously it doesn't work. What is going on? Why are there even more errors? What do you mean it doesn't match? I literally just changed it, no? What? Why is this DLL now? Why? What? Why is it changed to DOL? Why? I don't understand. Why is that changed to that now? Okay, if I change this to the DLL and then I change this to the DLL. Bang. And now I run it. Now it works. And it fails because OpenAO isn't here, I think. Okay, so it works now, apparently. Everything needs to be DLL. Everything needs to be default then. I don't even need this then. I don't understand what the problem was. Okay, whatever. Whatever, who cares? This is the library. We need the tests, build something. No, debug. Here, this is the application, and it's going to say nothing. Oh, probably because we're not actually using the audio bit of SFML, so it doesn't need OpenAO. And we don't have a window or anything. What? We just have a loop that's going on. So the loop's going on. For some reason our window isn't being made. No, our window is being made. We have a window. Where is the window then? Oh wait, it's probably because we haven't put anything in the constructor here, like video mode being 640 by 480, and then having a Yes, that's why. Okay, let's let's do this and say also window is this, and then we say window set size vector 2u to be 640 and 480, and then we can say window set title to be window. Although it's not actually compiling the engine, I don't think. Okay. You know what? Instead of saying this, let's just do this. Say render window. And in here we can say video mode 640 by 480, and then title will be window. And then we can get rid of these. Aha! We have a window. We have our window. Brilliant. And we're exiting with code 0. This is good. This is very good things. Very good things are happening here. Good, good, good. The engine works pretty much. I want to have args here. I want to have args here. This needs to be this. I think this is how you do the argument stuff. I think. But it is forwarded, is it not? Is this not how you forward? Is this not how you forward? It is forwarded. This is the forwarding. We're forwarding inside the... Copy that. This set render target to be render window. Right. Yes! Look at that. Utterly phantasmic. Okay, we have a working engine at least. And it seems to me the world is working and the level is working. We don't know about entities because no entity has been created. But it seems to be pretty decent. So, I think because the world is created immediately, we can say, well, the world is created immediately and the default level is created immediately. So we can then specify, we can just spawn straight up, I think, here. Engine.getWorld.get level .spawn entity. And then say Tails entity. Oh, it's because it's an incomplete type, obviously. Tails entity. Now if we play it, it works, but we're not seeing anything, I assume, because something. So if we say auto entity equals that, we can then say entity set texture, maybe. Yeah. What am I doing? Tails C asset cache load texture, or just load. Screw this. It seems to be working. I mean, that's good enough for me at this moment. We don't actually have. Well, no. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's load. Let's load a texture. The ID can be player. This can just be whatever. We wanna. I believe the directory is. I don't actually know where the directory is. No, not in terminal. No, don't open in terminal. Open in Explorer. Here. Okay, it's just here. So I think if I just made a beautiful art piece. Right, if I did like 32 by 32 and I just made a happy face. And now we have our beautiful image saved as player. In here, I need to put it in build. Here we go. And then we can say player.png play. Nothing. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Before I go any further, I want to transfer the stuff from the game over to the engine. Hey, whoops. Such as this having arguments. Like so. As well as this using those arguments. Like that. And then the world doesn't actually have anything changed, I don't think. I think that was the only kind of big change I did. So what does this mean then? Why is it not loading the texture? Let's open the load method and see what we can get up to, eh? Let's do that, and then that and that and that. I don't know. So we are loading. Our ID is player. Our deleter is this. We have Okay. Cool. It's not saying what the name value is, but sure, we put it in player. If we go to the next one, we have player.png, our shared pointer, 2 strong refs, one being this and the other being something else. 2 uses, 1 week. Cool. We have that, and then we have the actual data, the SF texture. Cool. Nice. And then we can do that. We're doing that. We then set it equals. We then return it, which will then return it out of here. So then that will return it into this set texture thing. No, don't do that. And then here we have this, where we have 2 weak uses and 1 strong. And now mTexture is currently empty, but it will not be empty for long. Let's do that. And so entity, we have mTexture, which is a shared pointer with the texture asset. This has 32 by 32, so it has loaded it correctly. It's done all that, it's just not kind of drawing it, it seems. So I want to go to here. So here we have texture is null, apparently, or it is at the moment, maybe because it's not been set yet. So we can then see that states has a texture of this, which is valid. So it should be getting it then. Vertex array has. Oh, it's because all of the positions are 0. That's probably why. All of the positions are 0, right? So in set texture, we can probably say first vertex dot position. Well, no, we want the. What do we want actually? I don't know. What am I? SFML learn tutorials. This. Okay. We want a quad. Here we go. Triangle strip. Which is what I have, I think. Yeah, triangle strip. For define it as a rectangle, so 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, so 0 and 1 are both okay. So it goes 0, and then 0 is top left, 1 is bottom left, 2 is top right. 0 that can just be that. 1 is bottom left, so dot position is going to equal 0 and whatever the texture get size, yeah, dot y, though this is a unsigned int, so obviously we can static cast. Sure, but now it's saying cannot convert to. Oh wait, does this want to float? Yeah, I don't know why it's converting an unsigned int to an unsigned int. Let's do a float. And now I can say m vertices at 2 dot position is going to be top right, so we can say essentially this, but for the x, and then 0. This is a float, so I should probably do this. And then the final one, the final one we can say 3 dot position is just going to be this and then this, and we can simply just do this. Bang. Simple. Maybe. Get rid of these, and then we run it. Haha, we have a white square. We have a white square, not a player.png. Very strange, very strange.
Don't be afraid.
So I don't actually care about these anymore. Okay, here we go. We have the states, we have our... That's fine. We have our vertices though. They all have correct positions, obviously. Texture coordinates. Interesting. There's texture coordinates. I didn't know there were texture coordinates. Ah, text chords. Define its texture area to be that. Okay. So we need to do it all again basically, but with texture coordinates. Maybe this will be fun.
Don't be afraid.
Yes, we have a happy face. Okay, the game engine is not terrible. Maybe. I haven't done any input stuff yet, but you know, kind of works. The asset is loading and stuff. That's a good sign. That's a pretty good sign. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's a pretty good sign. Okay. Anyway, what we want to do now is try the input. I think. Actually, no. I don't want to try the input because it's completely broken, the input. So I'm fine. So yeah, I think entities are going to be square, always. Maybe I'll make an entity that isn't square, but for now it seems way too complicated to make it not square. So I'm going to have it be square. Always. Texture's always square. Not texture. Entity is always square. Just because these indices stuff is it's annoying. So yeah. And then the position would be fine, right? Because if I set this to be like, you know, if I set entity set position to be like, you know, 32
Don't be afraid.
or something, it would just be 32 offset, right? Yeah, okay, so that works just fine. That's all good. Nice. Now to implement this into the engine, the entity here. I didn't change anything here. When we set the texture, we need to set the texture coordinates. Yeah, I'm just going to copy this. I don't know if I actually need to set these or not. I'll do a quick test, see if I do. I probably do. Yeah, okay. I do. I do need to set them, but I want to set these just anyway, so that you don't need to load a texture for it to be, you know, just a white square. Because I want to be able to just let you have a white square. That would be nice. Have the 0, 1, the text coordinates will just be 0 and 0. Nice. And now what I want to do is have some kind of like set size thing or something. You know, some kind of set size method. Because the transformable has a set scale, but not a set size. So here we want to say, you know, vertices 0. This doesn't need to change actually, the first one. The only ones that need to change are the other ones. So we can say 1 dot position can just be 1 is bottom left, isn't it? So that would be, yeah, that would be 0, and then Y, and then we can say vertices 2 is top right, so that will be X 0, and then 3 will just be X and Y. Then we can make an overload of this for, you know, not the STD, the SF vector to F size. There we go. And then, yeah, we can just set size size.x, size.y. Nice. Cool. So we can set the size. We can set the position. That's all good. Set the texture. I want to set the default size as well, which I think we can just do in the constructor. I think I can just do that. Okay, cool. Cool things. I want to see out the global bounds as well, just to see what that actually is. Wait, what am I doing? Dot width and height. Yeah, left is 32 because it's 32 off from the left. 32 by 32. Okay, good. That's cool. That's very good. Nice. That's brilliant. Okay, cool. This is good stuff. Good things are happening here. So our entity works. And that seems quite good. I might abstract something into something. I might have like a textured shape or something. I don't know, dude. Who really cares? So by default, when you make an entity, it's just a 32 by 32 square, which I might change. Yeah, I might not even have a default size. No, I will have a default size just because it'd help, I think. It'd help. Cool. So I probably want to have it so that it only does this when the texture is valid, right? You know, if this, then do that, because I don't want to be setting, I don't want to be getting it. Well, actually, would it just return null, actually? Yeah, it'd probably just return null, right? So it wouldn't actually matter, because this is going to be null anyway. I don't think this would actually matter. I could test it, because I could, instead of doing that, and then see what that's like. Yeah, it just doesn't. It just sets it to null, or whatever the null thing that this is. So cool. That works just fine. I also just realized I don't think the asset cache has a a way of getting a texture. We can load a texture, but we can't get a texture. So let's do that quickly. Shared pointer to asset data. Get asset. Nice. Get it as a ID, and then we can just return, you know, data at ID dot lock. Got to first get the instance though, like that. I think it's lock anyway. That returns a shared pointer. Cool. That's pretty good. And so now, yeah, we probably want a templated thing as well though. Right. Get asset. And then return static pointer cast to T from get asset ID. Right, failed to get asset, yeah. Probably. That seems pretty fine. Pretty fine. Is no discard before or after the static? I suppose it doesn't matter. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's no discard this as well, because why not? Right. Cool. Assets work, stuff like that works. Things are good. Nice. I don't really care about release. Cool. I think that'll be it for now. I've proven that it works. I haven't done a lot with it, but it works. We have a texture that loads, puts onto an entity, onto a vertex array, and yeah, the window runs and all that stuff. That's pretty good. It's pretty good in my eyes. So that seems to all be working happily. Nice. So yeah, thank you for watching this, another brilliant video of me messing around trying to make a simple game engine. I hope you found it somewhat enjoyable. Yeah, sick.